the Leroy Slava Podcast. Conversations with entrepreneurs that inspire and experts to admire. Now, if you enjoy these podcasts, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell to receive updates of future podcasts. Episode 54. Welcome to the Leroy Slava Podcast. My name is Leroy Slava, and today we've got a special guest, Mr. Claude Reeby. Now, Claude is the CEO of Power On and has been in the financial services industry for over 20 years, right? And today we want to ask him questions about financial planning, financial services, investing. We want to find out from him, as a young person, where do we start with our financial planning and investing, and where do you start if you want to make money? And then we also want to speak to him about, let's say you come to the end of your career, you were 50, 60 year old, and you've made a bit of money, and you want to make sure that you keep this money for the next 20, 30 years. Okay? So that's our topic today. But I think before we start and before I introduce Claude, I want you guys to like this video, subscribe, and click on the notification bell, guys, to get updates of future podcasts. So thanks for joining us. Stay tuned. Mr. Claude Reeby.
Mr. Leroy Slava.
How are you, sir?
Good to meet you again.
Good. Thanks for agreeing to do the podcast. I appreciate it.
Yes, my pleasure, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to this because I think these are questions that we all have, and normally we can't answer because a lot of people have to say, this is my opinion, but I'm not a financial advisor. So please seek financial advice. So you can't say that today.
No,
you are a financial advisor.
yes. But you know how it is, being a doctor or being a mechanic even. Mm-hmm. You're the least person that you're going to take advice from. Yeah. You can tell 20 people what to do, but you usually can't follow them yourself. So that's always something that I have in the back of my mind. Follow my own advice.
Follow your own advice.
Follow your own advice, yes. Love your words.
Yeah, love your words.
And that's a tough test for anybody. But that's the sphere that we're in now. Yeah. And that's an interesting sphere. So what you're saying, how long would you say I'm in the business?
Over 22 years.
23.
Maybe start with, how did you get into the business? And then after that, what does a financial advisor do? What's their job?
How I started in the business, not really planned. I wasn't something that I had in my mind after graduating. I graduated as a chemical analyst.
Okay.
Yeah, mathematics and chemistry, University of Western Cape. Came back. And
chemistry. Yes. No wonder you're such a genius, man.
Came back, started working at National Chemical Products. Good friend of mine got me in there. Mm-hmm. And being a lab analyst, analyzing chemicals. Oh, wow. Breaking them down, find out what they're made of, all those type of things. Yes.
Analyzing chemicals.
And then I needed to go back to varsity to go study. And the company had some problems sponsoring me again, because I owed one credit and I needed to go back to Cape Town. I'm working in Germiston, I had to go back to Cape Town to do that credit. No other place. You want to get your degree.
What year was this?
What did I?
What year was this?
This was 1990. 1990, yes.
During the Mandela's time, we're moving over to democracy, the countries in a state, no one sure what's going to happen.
Yes, and UWC at the forefront of that.
Oh, you're an activist as well?
Student. No, I wasn't the activist. I was more on the background. I enjoyed the resistance that the students gave and the awareness that students brought to their communities. And the Cape Townians were quite vocal that time. Yeah. We enjoyed quite a good exposure in terms of being aware of what's happening in the country, where it's going, the planning, the players involving at that time. Yeah. So UWC was quite well placed. So absolutely exceptional place. Even today, still I'm involved with that university.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my alma mater, as we put it today. Yeah, but after that I came back and I said, no, I'm tired of this chemical industry, and I said, I've got mathematics, let me go into insurance. Let me go do my actuarial studies, because UWs didn't have actuarial science. And I wanted to see what I can do further with my mathematics, and actuarial science is obviously a next step towards it.
Say that again.
Actuarial science.
Those are the really smart guys. Those are the guys that do those difficult calculations.
Yes, far smarter than I was, because that one was quite hard.
Yeah.
And to get to fellowship is even harder, because at the time, only place where you can get fellowship was through University of London, in London, Oxford, and all those places.
That's the only place you can go and get. When you say fellowship, what does that mean?
Fellowship means you're a fellow of the Actuarial Society of So those actuarial science degrees are issued by Wits, but to get a fellowship, you needed to study through London. Yeah. Having said that, I got into the insurance space as a technical analyst. So what we did is we did the calculations on death benefits, on your values in your investments, because systems were not well placed. So we would use Excel spreadsheets to do those type of things.
Is it?
Yes. Excel spreadsheets, inputs and outputs, you need to design it. Yeah. And you need to do that calculations and check them up also.
And this would be calculations like, if I pay 1,000 rand over 30 years, this is how much I should get.
Yes.
This is the risk I profile, all those things. You would do that on a
spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet.
Yes, huge spreadsheet.
Yes,
and,
so that's
and
amazing.
It was tough days those days, because it took quite some days to do those calculations. The simulations were not that good on systems. And they always go array, they always go faulty. And that's where the analyst needs to come in to correct those type of calculations. But the one thing that had an impact on me, Leroy, was that whenever there was a claim, and especially it's a death claim, the impact that had on the family, Because what happens is the people would come and sit there at the foyer. I worked for Southern Life that time in Commissioner Street. Commissioner Street that day, I think it was 54 or something like that, Commissioner Street. And we were sitting on the 4th floor. And the people would come and sit at the lobby, waiting for their money. And we had to go and talk to them and tell them exactly this is how it is. But then we saw the changes that it makes in people's life, because that policy that deceased person took out was usually a surprise, and number two, it was highly needed at the time, just to get that family over. And it made a difference in that family's life. Now, coming back, I had to do a lot of consulting with the brokers. So the brokers will come to me and says, look, we need to go to a company and talk about what's happening in terms of their pension fund. But we don't have all the technical insight into the fund, all the technicalities, how the fund is working, what the benefits definitions is, when is it kicked in, and all those type of things. And those brokers introduced me to clients, and I would go and do the technical side for them as support.
To explain the details.
And I said, man, I can do this myself. Because
and it's actually nice from being in the office. Now you're out there talking to people.
Yes.
And the Reebys are people's people.
And I'm one of the Reebys that not a people.
Oh, no.
I'm more. But luckily I had huge exposure to talk to people, and also it doesn't really have to do with in insurance being amenable or a talkative person. It's more a person that's authentic or ethical or straightforward.
True.
And committed to the deal. It's what you will find is that these fly-by-night guys who comes and sell you something quickly and easily and talk the way all around you, and sometimes bullshitting people, they're not lasting in the industry. They're not lasting because they cannot keep up with the promises that they've made.
I think that's, and I wanted to bring in this question later, but I think you're talking about it, and I think that's maybe why. One of the questions I want to ask you is, why does it seem like people have lost a bit of faith and trust in financial services and financial advisors? And I think maybe some of that was the answer there.
That's on the advisor side, the broker side. They're what we would call smooth selling and false promises that they've made. But also on the insurer side, the insurers also had pathetic products.
So the salesmen were just in it for themselves, because that's the thing that a lot of people say, that listen, a financial advisor comes in, he sells you a product which you don't really need, doesn't benefit you long term, because of the back end, the back end commissions or payments there is in for them, and then leaves, and then leaves you with something that doesn't benefit you or your family. That's the perception.
Yeah.
That's the perception.
And that was real, but not entirely true.
Yeah.
Because the guys that were earnestly moving to make changes in people's life also have had the issues that came out later, because the product didn't live up to what the insurer or the product manufacturer said.
Oh,
Yeah,
so the insurer sells the product to the advisor. The advisor goes in, and then when someone passes away, or you retire, or whatever it is, and then
there's a few things that doesn't match up. One of the things that doesn't match up is, for instance, we would those days make projections on where the return would be in 10, 15 years' time. But the market hasn't performed to that level, or the insurance companies haven't done their due diligence in where they're investing well, and things have gone sour.
Yeah.
So at the end of the time, the projection is totally out of whack that was given at the beginning, what we call the maturity value at the policy stage. Now the advisor is sitting with egg on his face,
because he has to go deliver the information.
He has to go and deliver and give the check over. And then
Tough one, eh?
And then the client will take out his old policy, and the pages are already yellow and stuff, and says, "But look what you guys said to me 15 years back. This is what I'm going to get, Claude. How come this is not the figure?" That's the one side. The other side is also because those days life cover or risk cover, what we call risk cover, is that death benefit that they promise you, which I will explain a little bit further now. And the investment portion, those two were combined in one premium. So if you have a premium that comes out, it doesn't all go towards investment. It also funds a portion that says, if the client dies tomorrow on month 1, we must be able to pay so many thousands out.
Okay.
So for that 100 rand, there's probably 45 rand that pays risk, and only 55 rand that goes into investment.
So someone would think that whole 100 rand goes towards, so I'm getting 5 million or 10 million, 20, whatever it is, if I die, or at 65 or whatever the thing is.
The typical calculation is the guy would take his full 100 and calculate it over the term and says, "Look what I've put in."
Yes, but that's how we all do it.
Yes, but you see, now if the advisor is not technically skilled, he is supposed to tell the client, "No, in this product, only 55% of your money goes into investment." What the other portion is, had you become disabled, the insurer would have to carry you for a few 100,000 rand, and that was born. Now the insurer takes that at risk, and you pay for that risk.
So that was that always in one policy?
That, especially in the old days, 90s and in 2000s, early 2000s, that was the scenario. But then the industry evolved, and quite for the better of it, products needed to part away. Keep risk aside, keep investment aside. So that Leroy Slava knows this is only risk. There is no maturity value. This thing pays me out if I die in 20 years or if I die tonight. Or last night. Let me not say tonight. Had I died last night, this thing would have paid out so many million rands to my family, to my what we call beneficiaries. But my investment will only give a return over time. So I have to walk the period, and that period is investments. Now, you cannot plan. Nobody can plan for an investment and not plan for tonight. And that's why risk is important. And this is where advisors have got it wrong. All the sexy advising programs, getting into cryptos nowadays, getting into ETFs, unit trust. People just want to see returns and making money.
Now. I want to be rich, and I want to be rich now.
But that whole scheme has a time factor. That time factor needs to expire in order for you to get that return. How long is that time? It could be 5 years. It could be 10 years. It could be until you retire. But it's time. Now, here's the question. What happens if you are not given that time? Because nobody knows when we're going to kick that bucket. None of us knows that. And the bucket kicks. Your investment never got off the ground even. So that initial fund that you've put in is just given back to you. It can help nobody. You cannot help your child growing up. You cannot give your wife security or your family the lifestyle that you've provided. You can never do that. Hence the reason financial advising needs to get back to the basic. You buy risk first.
I think, Claude, let's bring this for two types of people now. Because the crew members here, we've got Sipo and we've got Nino. They young, 20, 22.
Good years.
32, 37.
Yeah.
All right? Now...
38.
You look young.
Joking.
So I think let's go for two types of people, because we've got people watching who are starting out to say they're 20, they're our age, maybe some of my age, maybe you've got 2 children now, a family, but more responsibility. No one warned us about this. We thought it's this adulting thing. Now we need to get policies. I've got a couple of policies with Claude as well, which maybe we can talk about as well. So 2 types of people: young, Sipo, Nino, myself. Maybe we're in a different, let's say someone starting out 25 to 30. What would they start with? They're getting a salary. Let's say they're getting paid 20, 30, 40, 50,000, whatever it is. They say, Claude, I'm working now for a year or 2. I want to get my life in order. I want to start planning for my future. Help me. What do I do? I want to make money, and I want to make sure that I use my salary to benefit me in the next 10, 20 years.
And you've just coined it. The most important thing, and this is so crucial. That salary or income, that is the factor that must be protected in any person's life. Why do we say that? If you look at it, what lifestyle Leroy Slava have and what lifestyle Nino have is determined by that income. That income says where Nino will be living. It says where he will be eating and what he will be eating and what services he can buy in terms of medical servicing, schooling, education, and all that type. That income determines that. So all that we're saying is protect that income.
Okay, protect the income.
Protect that income. Protect that monthly income, and not just salary, because he might have other small incomes of things that he's doing along the way. But you protect that income, because then you're actually protecting your lifestyle.
Okay.
Here's the reason why.
So that's step number 1. You would say protect your income.
Protect your income. Why do you protect?
Why and how do you do that?
You do that because should a person become temporarily ill or permanently ill or die, it's that income that will be affected by that incident, that illness or that injury. Listen, if you can't work, they're not going to pay you. You're not going to be able to produce the stuff. Now, if you cannot work as a result of a sickness or an illness or an injury, this is where that insurance will come into play and says, oh, you've been earning that 30, 20 or 50,000 rand that you mentioned. We will now step in and cover that breach for you while you are busy recovering from that illness, injury, and thing. Is it a temporary nature? Only the doctor can say is that. Only the medical diagnosis tells us.
That's the policy I have, eh?
That's one of the policies.
That's one of the policies I have that covers if something happens to me, then there's a income, but it's also a life that if I pass away, there's a lump sum that pays out. And it's also a funeral. It's like all combined, not all in one, but all risk.
Yes.
Am I saying it right?
It covers the one that I've mentioned, the temporary scenario, where the doctor says Leroy Slava is unable to work for the next couple of months. He's too ill, or his injuries must heal, and we expect him to be back after 4 months and 2 weeks. Right. Now, Leroy Slava works for himself. Immediately, that policy kicks in and pays the amount that you and I have insured. So Leroy Slava will get that income for that duration. Once that duration is over, we, the insurers, will then come to Leroy Slava and says, hey, we have a note here that's expiring. Are you ready to go back to work? What did your doctor say? Oh, my doctor says the healing is fine. I'm already back at work. Or the doctor might say, oh, there has been complications. You know what? That's actually what happens.
He can't work anymore.
It has progressed to a more serious level. This is now a permanent condition that we from the beginning thought it was. So now you're talking about, that's a permanent scenario. That injury I will have to live with for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Then your next level of your cover kicks in and says, that income that I've protected, it's no more for 4 months, 2 weeks. It's now for until Leroy would have retired until the age of 65.
Okay.
Then we pay you that amount of cover. But the beauty of it is that Leroy doesn't have to get that as a monthly amount. You can actually decide and say, you know what, Claude, I like this cover, but with this permanent condition I'm having, I'm not seeing myself living more than 2 years. And then I will succumb by my injuries. So what's the use? You've protected me until age 65. I'm 37 now.
Yeah.
It's a long way from me. We can now actually bring all that payments back, and that's where the actuarial science comes in. Those guys discount that money and says, we would have paid you so much. If we give it to you today, this is the discounted value in a lump sum, once-off amount. And that is where you see people saying, I'm insured for 5 million, I'm insured for 4.7 million, I'm insured for 6.3. That amount now is paid to Leroy Slava. But it has a two-edged sword. If you are not financially educated, capital goes. Capital attract new interest.
You pay tax on that?
No, that's the nice thing. No taxes are paid.
Because that's what people don't think. They say, listen, this policy is paying me out 5 million. But now I'm getting 5 million. You get taxed at 45% of that. That leaves like 2.5 of that leaves. You left with half of it.
No, this is not tax. There are policies that are taxable, but this is your income.
Are you talking about one specific policy now? So that's something that people need to look out for. Is that there are policies that can be taxed and there are policies that cannot be taxed, and that's where we don't read all those million of documents you guys send us to sign. We read the money part.
Yeah.
And we scan over the rest and we initial and we sign.
Yeah.
But I think that's where a good advisor also comes in. He's supposed to, Claude, whoever you're dealing with, I would suggest maybe deal with Claude, supposed to tell you these things.
And taxation is obviously
because
part of financial.
Because taxation is your biggest expense in life. The tax.
I can say that, but taxation can be accommodated for in those policies.
Okay.
For instance, what we do is we make provision and says, okay, you will pay so much tax on that type of policy. Yeah. Let's add it now in the policy so that you come up to the net amount that covers your needs.
Oh, but then the premium goes up.
The premium goes up with the extra cover that you buy for the taxation. Okay. But leaving that aside, now this person now gets this amount of money as a lump sum. You can choose. I need all the money as a lump sum now because I do not see my lifespan extending beyond a certain period of time. Or you can say, I need a little bit cash now, Claude, because I want to settle a few immediate debts. Yeah. So give me half of my capital and pay me that income, that portionally half now until I would have reached the age of 65 or until I'm dying. Mm-hmm. That is all available in the policies today. And that's where you and I sit and assess your condition to find out and with your doctor.
Which one will be the best option?
Which one will be the best medical or, financial solution for your scenario. Yeah. And should you die in that thing or later as a result of something new, that cover is still there. Okay. So the death cover also protects you on top of what you've already got. Covers your income again.
Yeah, so when you die. And then there's a funeral policy. This is the specific one I know. This is the one I've got with
Yes, and most companies have that. They give you what we call...
the dread, a life, and a funeral in one.
Yes. Okay. And a funeral...
And an income replace if you get sick. That's dread.
Yeah. It's called final expenses in most cases. Yeah. That final expenses is just to carry the family over to bury you on the ground. But it doesn't pay out the full death cover yet.
Okay.
It's the immediate expenses.
So that's one. So you're saying, okay, now we're 25. You would say, listen, protect your income. And that's how you put in case something happens to you.
Yeah.
What's the next step? Because now my income is protected. I've got that policy. My income, my trade is protected. What's the next thing I do?
Now your frame now can kick into long term.
Now I want to make money.
Now you can take money. And now you can think about goals and your kids' studies and your traveling or your new projects or your businesses that you want to extend. And that's now where we look at suitable investment options for you to get to that goal. But again, we've covered the immediate. Now we can look at the short term, medium term, and the long term. And the long term is usually retirement.
Yeah.
The medium term is usually where you would say, I need to have my child's education sorted when your baby is in 18 years' time, ready to go to varsity. And the short term is I need to have probably something to replace my car in 5 years' time, or extend my house, or buy better property. That's what we do when we do those type of planning. And each one now has its own different profile and risk.
There's no one size fits all.
There's no one size fits all. Absolutely not. And that's why costs are so abused in the system. Because if I give you a one size fits all, the costs are astronomical. You understand? Even in that life risk cover, if you only need debt cover for 10 years because the bank needs security from you, why must I give you a whole life policy? It's suitable for me, the insurer, but not suitable for you.
Yeah.
And the advisors are not smart enough to see that.
And that's what I think. But I think that also comes with time, eh? Because if I become a financial advisor tomorrow and I'm with Liberty or this big one, whatever, Sanlam or whoever they are, and I come in and I just say, sell this. So I come and I sell this to Sipo, I sell this to Nino, but I don't have the experience that you have. I'm just in it because I also need to make money. Because obviously, I guess a financial advisor gets paid on commissions, commissions. So the more they sell, the more they. So now they just. So now they're not sitting and doing the
planning.
The planning with the individual guys. They just putting stuff in front of them, and I think that's where maybe. Now I think that you've answered it again. We've answered where the mistrust is. But
you'll have a short lifespan if that's,
you won't be in the industry for that long. Yeah.
And the other problem is also you're going to pick up problems with clients complaining. The internet is there. People have the Financial Services Board or the FSCA as they are known today to go and make. The ombudsman is there. It's all in your policies that says, look, this is not what the guy have told me. This is not what I bought initially. So there's some recourse, a lot of recourse for the consumer today to say, hey, let me get my money back or let me get a fair deal out of this. But that behavior that you're telling, or that most of our parents were exposed to, is slowly dying out now. This is so much more professional.
Why do you think? Is the internet, why do you think it's dying out? Maybe it's because of you have a short lifespan, but it's also, do you think the internet, for us now that we have the internet, before I think our parents maybe had to sit with a financial advisor, take that advice, and then apply it and take that. There wasn't as much information out there as we have now with the internet. So I can go on my phone and say, look, the internet is also not 100% because people pay for ads and Google, and we all know how this works. You pay to be on top and you pay for your name to come up first. So it's not always the best that comes up first on the internet. It's who pays the most.
But information is at least
is at least there. I can say
more freely available.
2 best life policies or whatever. You understand? Do you think? How do you think the internet has affected the financial services business?
More on behavior. So not really in technical terms, because 2 companies have different features in their products and what they excel at. One company might have more and comprehensive disability incidents covered in their policy, whereas another company might only have less than the other, or more focus on death cover or dread disease. So you can't really say this policy is better than the other. It is based on your need. For instance, your risk profile. So you would typically say, this is my risk profile. I'm a driver. I need to be covered for such and such a risk. Then a certain policy or plan will be suitable for you. Whereas another lady will say, I'm a PA or I'm a receptionist, or I'm sitting as an analyst in my house the whole day and analyze financial papers.
So they don't have the risk that we have that on site.
So another company's policy might suit that person because the elements and the issues that come from there is totally different for the 2 people. Now, having said, if I only sell for one company, how am I going to cover all those needs of those clients?
So you don't. So you don't have one. You have
I've got various solutions. I've got various companies, products that I can now go out and suit or match my clients with. And that's the freedom that we have as independent financial advisors.
Okay.
It's a little bit different from the other guys.
So if you work for specific...
Yes.
You just have to sell that one company's products.
Yes, you're an agent.
And whether it's rubbish products or whether it works or doesn't work or whether it's being... You just have to sell it because they're paying your...
And you're committed and convicted to your solution. Yeah. And you are totally only exposed to what that company have.
Yeah.
So you're not actually lying, but you don't know... As an advisor, there's better.
Okay.
There's better.
Yeah, I'm starting to understand.
Yes, now. And that's why you find the mismatch, and you will think that the advisor was insincere or a little bit crooked. He's not really that. He was just giving you what the best in his house was. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you need to have
different,
multiple.
Yeah. So that's good.
That's always good.
So maybe that's a good one. Deal with a financial advisor who has a wide variety or range of products that you can see which one will suit you better instead of just one, and that's all that they have. And so that's good advice. So now you're saying, okay, so now I'm 25, 30, I'm starting out. My risk is covered. We've sat down, we've looked at my short-term, my long-term planning. We
come to the age of retirement or the end of the goal period.
So that's what we have for the 25, 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
The risk is risk. What else did we say? Investment, short-term, long-term.
Long-term.
But there's no one size fits all. So you sit with Claude, and then you go through what your goal, and your goals will be different. Some people will want this, some people want to go big, some people who are more conservative.
And that goals have different vehicles.
Yeah.
For instance, if you're planning for retirement, you will typically not put your money in what we would say just an investment like a unit trust or an ETF. You will use that unit trust or ETF into a retirement vehicle. And when I said to you that tax planning is all part of the financial scenario, that retirement annuity or retirement vehicle allows you now, Mr. Slava, to say, I've put in 1,000 rand into my retirement annuity. SARS or the taxman will actually rebate me for a portion of that contribution. Meaning...
there's tax incentives on premiums.
On premiums for retirement.
For retirement. Okay.
And that's different. If you're telling me I'm planning for my child's education, I will use a different vehicle. There's also tax incentive in that different vehicle. For instance, on that tax-free scenario, it's an excellent vehicle to use for children's education or short-term goals, 5 or 10 years. But for retirement, you will use a retirement annuity. And that retirement annuity says a portion of your contributions will be tax-free because you will get the rebate from SARS on that.
Seems like I need to sit with you again.
Yes, and that's the nice part about it because SARS help you pay for it. If your tax rate, Leroy, is 30%, I can now confidently say to you, whatever you contribute to your RA, at least 30% or at most 30% will be given back to you at the end of the tax year.
Every year.
Yeah. Now think about that. You've given me 100 rand.
So let's say I pay 1,000, so it's 12,000 for the year. So 30% of that would be what?
12,000 is 4,000 rand.
Yeah, 4,000 that you get back. It's quite a bit.
So now
so now you've paid. You've got the benefit of the 1,000 rand, but you've got the 3,000-4,000 rand back.
As a tax return. From SARS, and that's the nice part about it.
Okay.
But that means if you put that money again into the RA, you already have a 30% return of your retirement annuity. And the RA is a retirement annuity. You have already a 30% return. Your tax rate is already returned in your RA. So no matter if the investment house is giving you a 10 or a 12 or a 7% return, that's on top of that.
Okay.
Because you're getting that money back. And we keep on telling our clients, plow that back into it or put it into a vehicle
that
tax-free
gets you a return. Okay, so Claude, I think for time's sake, we've got the 25-year-olds. Risk, short-term, long-term, no one-size-fits-all. You're gonna have to sit with Claude, and he'll put together a plan for you. Maybe a will, eh?
Very important.
I think I've seen too many people nowadays die, and they don't have a will, and it's a mess up, eh? And people fight, and government takes
especially if you've been prudent all these years to build this good financial planning for your family, and there's no will. So that will really speaks to the assets that's usually in a person's all his accomplishments, all his financial assets. It talks to the house now.
But the young person is 25. He was 22. He's saying, I'm starting to work. I'm just moving out of my mother's house now. My first policy, why do I need a will? I'm not going to die soon. I think, young people, we think we're going to live forever.
Yeah, but remember I said to Sipo, protect that income.
Yeah.
Now, if Sipo, the will only kicks in at debt.
Yeah.
So that income is now paid out as a lump sum.
Oh, they need to go somewhere now.
It needs to go somewhere.
To your mother, you don't have kids.
Yes.
Or to your kids or whatever it is, your wife.
To siblings.
Yes,
and who do you want it to go to?
Yeah.
That's part of what the world is there for. The other reason also why the world is there is to say that, okay, there might be assets that I need to pay tax of. Maybe I've just bought a house, or maybe I've just acquired some investments that needs to be paid in order to be transferred to that beneficiaries, because there's transfer duties or change of ownership duties to my car. If I leave my car to my brother, my car and the change of ownership is going to cost me money, and I need to settle the bank.
Yeah.
So all that money is and issues are dealt with in the will. So that's how you make sure that you transfer.
So will is important.
Will is always important.
And some black people don't like wills. They think if they do a will, they're gonna die soon. They think they. No, I'm not saying I'm not Jen, but you find a lot of. No, I'm not gonna do a will now. It's like there's a bit of fear that.
There was a fear about life cover also. People used to say the minute I buy a life cover,
maybe it's because
I'm calling my dad.
Maybe it's because they call the death cover. First, wasn't it called death cover first?
Still called
and then
death
it
cover.
changed over to for marketing purposes to life cover.
Hence the reason I use the term "had you died last night." But it's not something we fear. It's an inevitable scenario.
We all go in there soon.
And no insurance can stop that. The insurance cannot stop you getting an injury. It cannot stop you getting an accident or getting an illness. No insurance can do it. The only thing that insurance does, and this is where the misconception is in people's mind, the only thing that insurance does is says, I will alleviate the financial issues that comes with that injury, that accident, that illness, that death. But it never speaks to stopping it, never speaks to prohibiting it on all those type of things. Hence the reason, if you have a little bit of experience, you need to say to these people, it's not going to stop. If it was your time to die, you're still going to die. Yeah. All that I'm making sure is that on all the misery, all the hearts, all the...
Make it easier.
Let's not have a financial issue also. And that's what we are in for. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So, yeah, man. So what did we say now? Sure, I'm thinking about my own life now. You're making me think about my planning. But anyway, we'll sort that out.
If you think that means... the next 38-year-old will think, and the next 25-year-old will think, but that's important for us. And this is the field that I played in. In fact, in my view, I feel that every house, every person that works in a house or is a breadwinner, even in Rega Park, let's start in Rega Park where we grew up.
Yeah.
Every person in Rega Park must have a life policy. It's the only way we're going to lift our people out of poverty.
Because it's actually cool. Look, I'm not saying a lot of people don't. A lot of people maybe can't afford. Because some people say, listen, now I'm just paying policies. I'm getting paid 30,000, 40, 20. Well, this is just going towards paying policies for when I die, if I get sick, if, what if. So I'm not living. I'm just paying towards what if.
Because the comprehensive analysis wasn't done. He did not protect his income, number one. He bought R1 million life cover. And that's all that it is. Yeah. So if that accident happens and he's not dead, the life cover never triggers. never pays him. And he's like, gosh, I can't even now pay this life cover. I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I don't have income. You understand what I'm saying? So insure the income. Because if that income is insured, you still pay your life cover, you still pay your water and lights, you still pay your children's schooling, you're still paying your car, you're still paying your food and short-term debts, because that salary is never taken away.
Okay.
That's the mindset that we need to change for the old people that says life cover is important. Debt cover is important.
You find someone paying 6 policies costing them 15,000 rand or 20,000 rand or whatever.
Or 2,000 rand, and then the total sum assured, if you want to talk life cover, is only about 150,000.
Yeah.
Because this one's got 30,000, this one's got 40,000, this one's got 60,000, and the 400 rand here and the 300 rand there, and then suddenly it's based 1,300 on 150. And a waste of money. That's why I'm saying the cost is then so high in that policies. And funeral policies are expensive. The reason funeral policies are expensive is because I don't know what I'm insuring you for. You can come to me and says, Claude, Granny is lying on bed now. We don't think she's going to make it until the end of the year. Can we get Granny a nice funeral policy? The insurer is not going to ask her for medicals and everything. They're going to insure Granny. But based on her age...
Yeah, they're not... I know, I took one out for my mother. When was it? A year or two ago with you. Yeah.
Yeah, but having said that...
She's already, what, 65?
She's young in autumns.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about that old lady that has all the ailments that are lying on that bed.
She's about to go.
That's why it's expensive. So suddenly for that 50,000 rand, you'll find a family paying 500 rand for that old lady. And 500 rand for you and I is probably 5 million rand of that cover if you compare the two. So you see how expensive it is.
Yeah. And tell me the cost of money, because if you take out a policy now, let's say I take one now at 37, but I'm taking it out for 65. Well, let's say the retirement that pays out at 65. Let's say it's going to pay out for 5 million. But how do you do to take in the cost of money? Because obviously now, 30 years from now, 5 million, the cost of what 5 million does now and what it's going to do in 30 years is totally different.
Yes.
What advice or how do you advise someone with that? Because it sounds good. You're going to get 5 million, but they don't say I'm going to get 5 million 30 years from now.
They don't say that. And that is what inflation does.
Yeah.
And it's a simple calculation. Humans, not just you and I, but humans overall, cannot really fathom the effect of compound interest or growth very accurately. Hence the reason when I write to my clients, I will say to them, 5 million rand today sounds fantastic, but in 20 years' time, it's actually nothing. And the reason is because money, due to inflation, loses its buying power.
Yeah.
Right? And that buying power erodes that 5 million rand. So the nominal amount, the absolute amount still stays 5 million rand, but it buys you less that time. Now, the best way for us to assess and tell a client how much money or his investment will be is a rule of thumb. It's called the rule of 72. It's a very simple
rule of 72.
Yeah, especially in a low interest rate environment, it works quite accurately most of the time. But that rule says that if the interest rate, if you want to calculate how long it will be to double your money, and you will say, the interest rate today is about 7%. Then all that you do is you take 72 divided by 7. Then you will say, I will double my money, the money that I have now, in 10 years' time.
Wait, say that calculation again. So I want to double.
You want to double your capital now?
Yes.
You will say, how long will it take me to double it if I invest it with you, Claude?
I've got 100,000.
You've got 100,000. So what's the interest rate that we're going to invest it in?
We're going to invest it. What would you advise now? What's in?
Let's say 7%.
7.75.
Yeah. Let's say 7%. I'm giving you as an interest rate. Then you can on your own calculate and says, if I use the rule of 72, I would say 72 divided by that 7% interest rate that you've given me. That will give me the time factor. The time factor will be 10 years. Oh, sorry, not 10.
But 72. Do I divide the 100,000 by 7? What?
No, 72 divided by 7.
72 But then where does the 100,000 come in? Because that's the amount that I want to double.
That's the capital, yeah.
Okay.
So you would know if you divide 72 by 7.
Oh, so I don't take the capital, I just take the interest rate. So if I take my 100,000, I put it at a rate of 7, I divide 72 by my interest rate. It could be 7, it could be 10, it could be 5, whatever it is. And that will tell me how long it will take
to double your capital.
Okay.
Whether you have a 50,000, whether you have 100,000, whether you have a million rent, it will give you a nice idea how
long. It doesn't matter about the amount. It's just the 72 divided by the interest rate.
Correct. And it's a doubling effect.
Okay, so that will tell you to double.
That's how long it will take to double your effect. But it doesn't work so accurately if the interest rate is high.
Yeah.
If the interest rate is 15% or more, there's what we call a wavering from that rule. So in low interest rates environment, that rule works absolutely well.
That's a good one. 72 divided by the interest rate, that will tell you how long your money will double.
Yeah.
I'm teaching you guys things here today.
Call it the rule of 72. Yeah. Or call it the rule of Slava rule.
That's the Levi Slava, because there's no rule. It's the rule of 72. We can change that. Right? Yeah. So guys, make sure there's people that need to hear this, right? Like, share. So now that we've got the young person, I think let's cover the old people quickly, because I've got two things that I want to get your thoughts about. Other investments, just shout out a name, tell me what you think about it. But now I want to say 50s old. I never thought I'll be 40. I'm 3 years away from 40. Now you're coming to the end. Now you've had your career.
Yes.
You've had your career. You've made how much ever amount you've made, right? You're coming towards 60. People are living longer.
Yes, and that's
people are living to 80 now. People are not dying at 65 or 70 anymore. They got another 15 years left after that, potentially.
Yes. But we live longer. The only problem is, do we have the quality of life longer? Now, here's the issue.
That's the sad part. Old people who had great lives are now
living a bad.
From 65 to 80 are living
terrible.
It's sad. Someone works so hard. That's actually one of the saddest things, and I think that's also where financial advisors maybe have missed it, where they have not guided certain people who've had a good life, worked very hard, but have not had
plan efficiently.
Maybe it's that's your own fault. Look, everything you do is your own fault. I think that you need to take responsibility for your own life. You can't blame it on anyone.
And that's the only way you're going to move.
Yeah.
If there's nobody else to blame, then I must make a move.
Yeah.
I must change it. So that's absolutely correct. But what happens in post-retirement? And this is where a lot of issues come into play. You have walked the walk, you've run the race, and now you're sitting with all that money.
I'm going to retire, I'm going to travel, I'm going to do this, and you can't do it.
Yes, and you now need to plan for this life without a salary now.
Yeah.
This retirement money must now pay you. This is so important, because now we need to sit and say, okay, you're 65, Mr. Jones or Mr. Smith. You're 65. We expect you to live until 72 at least as a male, or maybe 78 as a female, and that type of scenario, right? So when we do our calculations, based on how long you live now, that lump sum, how long can you draw? So what is it that the client needs every month? He says to me, Claude, I don't have a car to pay off. Hopefully, my bond is settled. I don't have children on school that I still need to pay for. I'm not worried about what you would say, building a new house or all those type of things. I'm comfortable. I just need to take care of my bread and butter issues. And the biggest expense usually at the time is medical aid.
Yes, that's the big one. And it gets more expensive.
Yes, food, petrol, rates and taxes and those type of things. Those are their life.
And that's not even living of lavish. This is not even traveling and going. This is just surviving. That's just survival.
Yeah, now I must check him. Are you married? Yes, I'm married. How old is your wife? Because, two things, Leroy. In retirement, people that always work for 40 years or longer, the minute they retire, there's a tendency that we've noticed that if they do not have something that keeps them busy and active again, they
die
go off the day. So if you don't invest that money correctly, it will get lost into the system. So that money needs to be planned based on his lifespan and his wife's lifespan. To say if you're
going to take a 10-year policy where your money's tied up for 10 years and now you don't have anything to...
Or there's no what we planning to pay over to the wife or to the surviving children at that time. So what we do is we will look at those things and says, oh, your health is good. You're an active person. You still have active activities. So we're going to make sure that your lifespan is for the next 20 years. So we pay that annuity. We call it annuity income. We plan it for the next 20 years. And perhaps you might need to take a lower amount that you need now. So you would say, I would need that time 20,000.
But I want to live. I don't want to survive.
Yes. But suddenly 20,000.
I want to go to Cape Town. I want to go to Mauritius. I want to.
Yeah, but now his capital will only serve him for 9 years.
Yeah.
If it takes 20,000 or 25,000.
Because that's what people say. That listen, I've worked so hard. Now I'm at this age. I want to enjoy the last. Not few years, last 20 years is a long time though. Eh?
Yeah.
You can't be reckless.
You can't be reckless. But also, like you say, you can't be over prudent and frugal.
Yeah.
You want to enjoy your money.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's how we grow that type of scenario and build it out. But then, if something happens to him, the money pays over to his spouse.
Okay.
If something happens to the spouse, usually that's where the annuity tend to do. But that planning is so important. Think, just to round it off, those living annuities, those compulsory annuities, they usually have what we would call usually have what we would call a small joint life or a guaranteed term. If that guaranteed term expires, that's only when the money stops. And it's only advisors that can now sit with you and decide which one will suit you. And sometimes you might have a combination.
You find it. It's not you.
Sometimes you must have a combination of the two.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's how it runs out.
Okay.
But it's a topic that needs to be.
It's an interesting one, eh?
Very interesting.
This is actually something. It's so interesting. I'm actually finding this very interesting.
I'm glad you find it because it's boring. That's why people don't want to talk about it. It's boring stuff.
But insurance. But you have to. It's something that you can't run away from, eh?
Yeah.
You can't run away from it.
Once you've seen the impact, that's only when you realize how important it is. But other than that, it's totally boring stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Claude, quick ones. I think we've come to the end. I think you've given us great advice here. When I want to name a few names, investments, tell us your thoughts about it quickly in 1 minute.
Okay.
And Bitcoin. How do you feel about that?
Not good for trading, maybe good for investing, long term.
Long term. Okay. Not good for trading, good for property.
Property, absolute. Property, at least, is one of the things that beats inflation reasonably well, but also give you a real value in terms of a legacy. Okay. Everybody needs a place to live on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stocks and shares.
Only asset class that outperforms both properties and any other investment. So it is important in everybody's portfolio.
Yeah.
But then it needs yearly adjustments. Yeah. But crucial, important in your portfolio. Also for the long term.
Gold and silver.
Gold is not too. And you're talking about here the actual metals.
Yeah. Metals, hard metals, and then your
shares or your derivatives on it.
Yeah.
Those are the aspects that you don't want to go into.
Okay.
But gold and silver has disappointed a lot of us advisors.
Yeah.
It's supposed to beat inflation.
Yeah.
In terms of its value. And I know there's a lot of people that think that there's a conspiracy against gold and silver, but they don't pay dividends. They don't pay an income.
Yeah, they're more like a dread. Not a dread, like if everything collapses the financial system, then you've got your coins that you can go to Ireland with or run over to wherever with.
Which Bitcoin now seems to cover for a lot of people. And that's also the argument.
Bitcoin is also a store of value. It has the same. But you can't trade. You can't trade with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I'm still not 100% on the Bitcoin stuff. That's why I will not put my bread and butter money on. But I will tell my clients I can't advise you on it. but it has shown to be quite a good store and value. Not the others, not Ethereum or the other stuff that Elon Musk, and Doge coins and all those stuff. No, Bitcoin. It's different from the others.
Okay. What else is there? So we've got Bitcoin. You guys got one that you want to ask Claude before we close it off? What else is there? We've got property, we've got Bitcoin, we've got stocks and shares, we've got gold and silver. What else is there? You've got these new things, EFT, metaverse
things. That's even what those type of things, they work. But for some people, that's in the know.
Yeah, so do your research.
Do your research. Yes, know that industry.
Yeah, know that industry. Because people are making money in everything, I guess.
Yes.
There are people getting rich in all of these different asset classes and investments. It's just that you need to know it and understand it. So I think that's the thing is, guys, get good advice, do your own due diligence.
Yeah.
You're still responsible for your own life.
Yeah.
So
and be diversified. There's not one asset class that's the be all and end of it. Not shares, not the JSC, not the Bitcoin, not the gold and silvers. Have a bit of everything, and then keep that balance. Yeah, that's how you don't expose yourself to calamities in one area.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's another war, or if there's another health scare in the world, the stock exchanges falls. People lose.
When something goes down, something else always goes up.
Correct.
It's always, everything doesn't go
down exactly
at the same time. You'll find when stocks and shares go up, gold and Bitcoin.
Yeah, maybe bonds and property also go up.
Property also goes up.
Yeah, that's what we mean when we're saying we're giving you a balanced portfolio, or we're giving you a diversified portfolio. And also, don't invest everything in this country. You need to get out of the currencies to have some investments in other parts of the world that might not be affected by that calamity. You understand? And nowadays, the retirement annuities and the retirement funds can invest almost 45% outside South Africa. It's a huge percentage.
Maybe we should do a podcast on international investments.
Oh, lovely.
Because we're so narrow. I know I am. I've got a few friends that invest. They only invest in property, but in the UK and the US. And to me, when they said go to the UK, get paid in pounds, I couldn't even see it because... I've never been out of the country. At that time, I didn't even. I think the furthest I went was Mozambique, and they telling me go to the UK. I'm like, the UK.
No, but maybe start with Mozambique.
I've been to Cape Town once.
Good holiday properties in Mozambique.
So I couldn't picture it. So I think we're also a bit narrow-minded, where we're so in our problems, in our South Africa, in what's happening here, in our things, that we do not see that there's a bigger. Not all of us. I'm talking about the way I'm also, and I'm also now only starting to think a bit bigger outside of the country. Yeah. And there's a whole world out there.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe one day, maybe we can start talking about international things. That'll quite be interesting. I'll like that because we'll learn.
And there's industries that we don't even have in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's international. And that's the reason we must invest your money outside.
Yeah.
And for instance, let me give you robotics. There's not robotic companies in South Africa, nanotechnology, big industries, big companies that need funding and they give good returns. That's biotech. We don't have shares or listed companies in the JSE to invest in those companies. So we're going outside of the company. And then solar energy. Luckily, there's a lot of those inside, but they're unlisted. They're mostly private equity. Yeah. And that's my work now, to go and find those gems.
Find it and come to us and present it and explain it.
And explain you the risk and says, this is the risk of having a private equity investment compared to a listed share. And that's the reason advice is important. But the main thing is the commitment from you, the client.
Yeah.
Stick to your goals. Stick to your initial planning. And just change the strategy as time goes. But the plan still holds.
Yeah. No, that's good advice. Yeah. Claude, thanks so much for joining me today. I think you gave great advice. I enjoyed it. I would actually want to carry on, ask more questions, but for time's sake, we're not going to do that. We're going to get Claude back on. We're going to talk about international investments, and maybe we can be more specific in our next one and say, this, look for that. Maybe that company, maybe that thing. We'll
break all these.
Maybe we can do that. I think that'll be quite good, eh?
Yes, we'll break all these sectors down, and that's actually where that will now get me excited more to show where we can go with it, and to allow people now to make money and expose them to new fronts.
No, awesome
but
stuff.
Thank you also. I also started to get quite excited about it and thought the time is still open.
No, that's perfect. I'm excited. So, Claude, where do we get hold of you? Someone's sitting there, they're 25, they're 60, they say, listen, I haven't thought about these things. My things are not in order. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 70. I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 35 years from now. I don't have all these things in place. I don't know what to do. I'd like to meet with you. Where do I get hold of you?
Do you want my Twitter handle? Do you want my Facebook? What do you want?
Do you have TikTok and Instagram? Give us your
I'm teasing you on that because
give us your Instagram account.
You just go to my webpage. You go to Power On Holdings or poweron.co.za.
It's here.
Yeah,
this is in it.
Yeah, this is
in
Power
On Investment.
Or poweron.co.za with power with the hyphen on, and that's where you get my contact numbers and read some stuff up about me. But my telephone numbers are on there.
Those numbers are still the same.
078-549-7017.
100%. That's clearly in it.
That's clearly
so everyone can see that. Okay.
Yes, and and then my email, claude@power-on.co.za.
Yeah.
But call me. I'm very open. I take all my calls myself. I believe in talking to my clients. I know exactly where they are and what they're doing. And that's how I sit and design plans for them. It's still very much a small company. We will grow. I will leave a legacy. That's part of my vision.
Yeah.
Something 20 years from now. And it's going to stay here. This is something that cannot go away. The amount of clients we have, the business that we've built over this time.
Over 20 years. Eh?
Yeah. And it's so significant now.
Yeah.
And we have taken all the stops to make sure that it runs after me. Be that retirement, be that out of this world.
And I think that should be good because if you give planning advice, you should be applying that to your own life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we only live together through our ideas and a legacy that we leave. That's when we live forever. We don't live forever in this form.
So and I think that's where this comes in. Is where the Bible actually says a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
Yeah.
Now I say that obviously I also need to apply this, which says that if you don't leave an inheritance, which means you are not a good man.
Are you telling me something?
No, but if you take that scripture, a good man leaves an inheritance. So if you don't do that, what does it mean?
Just short term.
You weren't a good man. But anyway, that's so guys, contact Claude for your financial advice, planning, and as he said, there's no one size fits all. He'll sit with you and see what will be the best option and the best plan for you. So awesome. I hope you guys enjoy that. And remember to like, subscribe, click on the notification bell and share this video, comment. Maybe if you've got questions, right, put it in the comment section. I probably won't be able to answer all of them, maybe some of them. And then if Claude can maybe just go check it if there's maybe a bit more
activity.
The activity and there's things that I can't answer. You can maybe answer one or two of them. And I hope you enjoy that. I hope you learned. So tune into the next one. Claude.
Thank you. Rio.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
God bless.
Thanks.
Now, if you enjoy these podcasts, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell to receive updates of future podcasts.